Welcome to today's podcast with Boom May. I almost said Greg, but I didn't. There's no Gregs in the room. You're the only Boom I know. Tell us the story, Coach from the University of Minnesota women's program, how you got the nickname Boom and how it stuck.
Yeah, first of all, it's funny that you asked because I've been asked that more in the last month than I have been my entire life so far. But I have an older brother and an older sister. They're 5 and 7 years older than me. And when my mom was pregnant with me in her stomach, anytime I would move around or kick and my brother and sister would feel me, they would call me Boom Boom. And it's just stuck and shortened over the last 40 plus years. And I feel like it's here to stay now at this point.
So did your mom and dad call you Boom?
Yes.
They did?
Yeah. I think they would double take if someone said Greg to them.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I have a daughter named Olivia. And my oldest, Jake, who was 2 years older, could not spit out this long, difficult word named Olivia, and it turned into Libba. Yep. And internally, that's all she's ever been called in our house, Libs, Libba. I mean, everyone outside of it calls her Olivia and all the other names that come with it, but no one else calls her that except in our house.
Yeah, it's still to this day, I'm 41 years old, I still have a hard time, do I introduce myself as Greg? Boom, because Boom is my name.
Yeah. Like
my wife actually just last week was like, maybe it's time to go officially change her name legally.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, but I actually do have a difficult time of what do I introduce myself to? If I'm in a big crowd, I'll say one thing. If I'm private, if they know who I am, what I do, I'll say one thing. So yeah, it's interesting.
That is kind of odd. Because I didn't know until we started working camps together that you'd prefer to be called Boom. I'm like, oh, I thought that was just kind of like we're buddies. I call you Boom.
Sure.
I'm like, I don't know you that well. Like, hey, Boom, and you're like, no, everybody calls me that.
Yeah.
I didn't know until today it was Mom and Dad even. That's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get to know some other facts about you today. I did this with Coach Larson a couple weeks ago. I did a little true and false segment, had some fun with it. You'll know who I called, but I called a friend or two of yours and said, all right, give me some, and it's not dirt, it's kind of fun. So true or false questions about you. Okay, ready? First one. You, your brother Dave, and sister Nicole ran backwards in the 2015 Twin Cities Marathon, 26.2 miles. You ran backwards. True or false?
False.
That's false. Did you run forwards?
We ran forwards, yes.
I needed some falses in here, so that's the only way I could make it up. If
we did. Backwards. It was actually a really cool experience, having that kind of bonding time during training runs and everything, and it was really, really fun. Okay. I don't think my brothers ran a day since.
Really?
No. Me and my sister still dabble, but
that's cool.
I think that was enough for him.
So let's see here now. So where did you guys live? Because I've done triathlons, and when you go on your training runs with your buddies or the guys that are doing it or whoever, your sister, you kind of got to live close together. Yep. So did you guys all live south of the river kind of thing?
Yeah, my brother and I both lived in Farmington, a half mile from each other at the time, and my sister was down in Lakeville.
Okay, so close enough.
Lakeville. Yep.
Close enough. That's cool. All right, that one's false. All right, next question. You do not drink coffee or caffeine.
Correct.
All right, why is that? True, that's true.
I did it in just kind of as we can get into this at some point too, but I'm a fairly disciplined person. And so when I put my mind to something, I feel like I'm just going to do it no matter what. And in January of 2020, so New Year's 2020, I used to drink one Coke a day, no matter what. I craved it. Really? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop cold turkey. And I haven't had caffeine or a soda pop since, and I've never had coffee.
What about a diet Dr. Pepper?
No.
Oh, nothing.
Nothing. Just
nothing.
Yep. Water.
Hot cocoa, I hear.
Yes, I do love hot chocolate.
Right. So I got this. All right. Next question. In your younger years, you were more outgoing and since reined it in a little bit better.
That's a great question.
True or false?
True, I guess.
Really?
I don't know. False? I'm not sure.
That's not I heard. You were very shy when you were younger.
When I was little, I was shy. I'm still shy. I feel like I'm shy unless I know you. I always say maybe it's not a great trait to have as a head coach. I don't go up to people to say hi to them. If they come say hi to me, then I can talk to you for forever. But I am shy.
My source said that you were shy in college.
Okay.
And since have come out of your shell.
Okay. True then.
All right, we'll go with true. In younger years, you were more outgoing. You're more outgoing now than you were there, so that was false. Your favorite athlete of all time is Tiger Woods.
True.
All right. Your favorite hockey player of all time is Marian Gaborik.
False.
Who is it? Can I tell you?
Yeah.
Martin St. Louis.
Yes.
And now he's a good coach.
Yes. I know. I was actually torn this whole last couple of weeks because I'm a diehard Lightning fan because of St. Louis, and then now he's coaching against them, and so I was still rooting for Tampa actually, but now that Marty won, I'll be cheering for Marty.
Have you ever met him?
I have not, no, but I wore number 26 because of him.
I had a chance to get coached against him and meet him, and saw him coach subsequently a year later in the Brick. Nicest man.
Yeah.
Everything. Did you watch his retirement speech or his Hall of Fame speech?
Yep.
I mean, a tearjerker.
Yeah.
And very smart, well-spoken. Everything that guy has got. We talked about your coaching career, and you started in the batter's box. Everything that guy has got, he's earned. Nothing's ever been given to that guy. I agree. He's one to like, that's for sure. All right, this is my favorite question. All right. If Minnesota hockey had a Dancing with the Stars, would you be one of the first celebrities chosen?
Yes.
True.
True.
I just heard that you were one heck of a dancer.
Yeah, I don't do it as much anymore, but yeah, I was always
quite the dancer.
Yeah.
I like it. Do you like that question?
Yeah.
All right. True or false? You have sent golfing drills to a loved one to help them fix parts of their golfing game. True or false? You've sent videos of golfing drills.
Probably true.
This is true.
Probably a lot of them, actually, but yeah.
We'll talk about that person later. Okay. While at Augsburg, you had two teammates by the name of Critter.
True. One at the time, though, did not. So Critter Johnson and Critter Nagurski. So Critter Nagurski went by Critter. With us, Critter Johnson was a freshman.
Called him Chris.
We actually called him C. Johns. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I actually didn't even know his name was Critter until after I was done playing with him. But now I call him Critter.
But he came in as a Critter from his family too, right?
Correct. Yep.
And
but
both
I think
were
he
Chris's.
didn't want to step on Critter Nagurski's toe, so he didn't ever tell anyone his name was Critter.
I've yet to meet Critter Nagurski. I know Critter Johnson.
Yep.
And one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Fun to talk to.
Yes.
I mean, what a great storyteller. I mean, all the things, and wherever he's gotten it wasn't because of his dad. He's earned it.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, earned it. But I go, what did you do when you got to Augsburg? There's another Critter. He goes, I don't know. We just kind of punted for a few years.
Yeah.
He just kind of like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. And what a dynamic, lineage, with Bronco Nagurski being one of the state's greatest athletes, top 5 for sure of all time, like Dave Winfield, like that kind of legend, and then your name, Critter. And then you have Bob Johnson, Mark Johnson. I mean, what unbelievable names, and they have their kids named Critter.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. Yep.
Bizarre, totally bizarre. All right, number 9. You believe the fork is the most efficient eating utensil.
False.
False. What is the most efficient
Spoon.
eating utensil? Spoon.
Yeah.
Why is this? I got this info, and it's like, this is the most bizarre thing I've ever read in my life.
Scoop and score. Scoop and put it in your mouth. Yeah.
So
it's
do you
easier.
Do you use a spoon when most people are using a fork?
I didn't use a fork until after I was out of high school.
Here we go. What?
Yeah. And I don't even know when I started it, but now I use forks. But yeah, I just cut things with spoons, scooped it up.
I suppose it is that way.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Last question. You coach a team to an IIHF championship in which your team outscored its opponents 56-2.
I believe that's all true.
That is true. Tell me what that was like.
It was amazing. I mean, we had an unbelievable, it's so cliche, but we had an unbelievable group of players, for one. Our staff was incredible. I don't know if there's a better coach for a short sprint tournament than Courtney Kennedy, who was our head coach at the time. I mean,
Former Gopher.
Yep. She had the players eating out of the palm of her hand from day one, essentially. And I could go on and on forever about it, to be honest. But one thing that I learned from her in a setting like that, she basically came to the table with 3 things, like almost like an identity piece, right? Like, here are the 3 things that we're going to get, be known for, and what we're going to be good at.
What were they? I want to write this down.
Yeah, so like it was basically speed to net. So like on our entries, like there's non-negotiable, like we're going speed to net no matter what. So reloading. So like on our forecheck, we're going to be a reload team, and hunt. And like we talked a lot about reload and hunt, but we're going to be a team that hunts. So for that, this is a true story. We gave up 2 goals all tournament. We did not touch the D zone one time. did not even discuss it, didn't practice it. It was all about hunting, reloading, and when we get pucks in transition on entries, we're going speed to net and we're attacking.
Interesting. Do you think she'll be like that at Merrimack too?
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
I
she's
can't
a
wait
contagious
to
person,
see her come on, blossom as a coach. I think she's going to have an amazing run there.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
And it's a great little school in Boston. I think she's going to do a great job with East Coast kids. Maybe she'll move a Minnesota kid in there, here or there. So I think I'm excited to see.
I'm excited for her too.
So am I, big time. All right, let's chat a little bit about who Boom is. I think that you learn a lot about someone by knowing who their parents were. So talk to me a little bit about your parents. What's their background?
Yeah.
How did they get to Minnesota? All that stuff. Tell me a little bit about them.
So I'll try not to take too much time here, but interesting background for both of them, I would say. So my mom is Indonesian.
Yep.
I
knew that.
Yep. Her mom and dad were both born in Indonesia. She was born in Indonesia. She's very adamant that she's Dutch Indonesian. So when she was living in Indonesia, it was
You told me this.
It was a Dutch colony. So the Dutch and the Indonesian were fighting. They essentially had to choose sides. They sided with the Dutch. So she actually got, I think, kind of deported to Holland. So she actually lived in Holland until she was, 10 years old, 11 years old or something like that. So she speaks fluent Dutch. Her parents spoke fluent Dutch. So my whole, that side of the family is all Dutch speaking.
Yeah.
But we don't look Dutch.
I was going to say, you have a little bit of an Indonesian look to you.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she came over to California with her family when she was 11 years old or so. Didn't know any English, went to a Catholic school, and so on. My dad, on the flip side, is just your stereotypical 6'1" European
white dude.
White dude, exactly. I was going to say that, but yeah, white dude.
No, I was at, like I told you before we hit record, I was at the press conference, and the two people I wanted to meet was your mom and dad, but somehow right after I blinked and they were gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, I really wanted to meet them because I feel like you're a really interesting guy. And I'm like, okay, what produced this really? And I know your brother Dave really well too.
Yeah.
I'm like, what produced these guys? What made these really successful guys? You know?
So both. I mean, I guess between me and my siblings, I feel like I might have the most pure blend of the two of them. My two parents.
Yeah.
My dad was in the military, was in the Army, he was in the Vietnam War. He actually elected to go into the Army during Vietnam as a.
And is he a California guy?
He's been all over.
Okay.
He was Minnesota, Arizona, California. Graduated high school in Arizona. So
okay.
But yes, lived in California for numerous years. So very structured, very disciplined, very known. Even to this day, still there's not a lot of small talk with him. It's pretty business. What basically what did you do productive with your day to day? And otherwise, I don't really care.
Really?
And it's just kind of always how he's been. It's how we were raised. One of those guys that I'm 41 years old. Any decision I make, I still call him just to get his approval.
Really?
It's kind of crazy. And then my mom on the flip side is just a sweet little woman from Indonesia, who is one of the nicest human beings, gets along with everybody, non-athlete. My dad was a football, baseball, basketball player, this traditional sports. He got into hockey when he was in his mid-30s, started playing men's hockey in California. It was actually right before the Gretzky moved to LA. And then obviously that just, took off even more after that. But, totally influenced on my personality. From a hockey standpoint, of course, my dad was a massive influence from that standpoint. From a job standpoint, not at all. My mom retired from Delta Airlines, so she worked for Northwest Airlines and then Delta Airlines. My dad was a finance accountant.
Okay.
Guy, so nothing for my career.
What do your brother and sister do?
My brother is also a finance guy.
Okay.
Works at a law firm as basically a CFO type
controller.
Yep, exactly. Yep. And then my sister is more on the skincare side of things. So she's an esthetician by license, but she does more on the skincare side of things.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's a good background on that. But so getting into coaching and teaching, that's a little bit of a foreign concept.
Yeah, and
but not to your brother. Your brother's a coach too.
He coached also, yeah. And I sincerely mean this. People say this all the time. For as long as I can remember, I always wanted to teach and coach. My goal was always to be I wanted to be a high school phy ed teacher and a high school coach. Like that was what I wanted to do. I actually wanted to be a high school English teacher at one point, but that's no here nor there. And I got there obviously at a pretty young age. And then at that point, it was kind of like, geez, maybe I can do this for a living.
And maybe I want to do a little bit more.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, the Boomay I know was the coach at Farmington, coach at Blake, and then got a job at the. Did you go to the U first or St. Thomas first?
The U first.
So St. Thomas was, and then to St. Thomas, or
for a real short stint.
Yeah, right. It was like bing bang. It was like you were bouncing around, and then to Augsburg, right?
Yep. Correct.
Yeah, so like when I saw you go to Augsburg, I'm like, okay, now this guy is really tracking.
Yep. I
think when you were at the U, one of the conversations you and I had, and you were at the U in the ops, and we talked about like, I want to coach college hockey.
Yep.
And you talked about, well, the track is not very enviable. Like I could go coach as an assistant coach, run camps all summer. It's not the greatest lifestyle in the world to get to where I really want to get to. And you weren't frustrated, but it was just like you were very, very matter of fact about that. So since the ops days at the U of M, what's happened? What were some of the things that you learned and how you got here?
Yeah, I think I got a little lucky, and I guess I'm just going to go back to because I feel like I owe this guy credit, but Bob for taking me on Botsko at the U. I was coaching high school hockey at the time, and I was really just trying to chase a dream. I had applied for a couple different Division III men's jobs, had one interview period. Basically didn't even have a sniff at him, right?
Yep.
I was a young coach. Again, now I see it from the other side. Like at the time I was like, how am I not getting these jobs, or how am I not getting considered? I see it now from the other side. But Bob brought me on, and that was my first ever foot in the door with Division I athletics or NCAA athletics for that matter. Learned a ton there. Actually, probably wouldn't have ever left unless it was for a coaching job.
Right.
But full disclosure, like it was during COVID, like salaries were fluctuating, were going down. And, I didn't really know what was going to happen. To your point of talking about coaching paths and stuff, I knew I probably had to go like to the USHL, probably not make very much money, go coach at a quote unquote inferior college program, be maybe their second assistant, not make very much money. Now I'm dragging my family and my wife over there too. My wife has a good career, so it was just I think frustrating is actually a decent word to use. And not in like a baby, in like a baby.
I didn't take it that way.
No,
I was like, you looked at it as like, this is a really high hill.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
And I'm climbing it. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, but man, this is hard.
I'm not moving out to Western New York to take a sub job and break up my family and do all those things.
Exactly. So. And that's honestly, that's why I ended up going to St. Thomas Academy. So I always kind of had my foot in the door of administration and coaching.
Right.
I have a master's degree in educational leadership. The whole reason why I had my master's in educational leadership was to be a high school AD.
Yeah.
Like that now became my dream at that point. So I ended up being associate AD at Blake. I love that space as well. So when the St. Thomas crew kind of sought me out and asked me if I was interested and to apply and all that, I kind of sort of felt like it was a no-brainer, but I was also knew I'm leaving this coaching path. But that path was tough, as we had mentioned. So that's why I went there. I'll never forget this situation, but I was literally just got it done addressing the St. Thomas Academy football team, who I haven't followed it, but like they were a juggernaut at the time. They were really, really good.
Yeah. They had some state championships and tournament runs.
Hundreds of student athletes and their parents that I'm talking to as their new AD.
And you're doing the checklist of things to do as an athlete, as you do as an AD.
Yeah, exactly. And
I've been in those meetings as a high school parent.
Yep. I walk out of the gym. I get a phone call. I never answer my phone if it's a number I don't know. I just text me, leave me a voicemail, whatever. And I happen to answer it. And it was Jeff Swenson, who's the AD at Augsburg at the time. And he had told me, he said, I know that Chris Brown had tried to get you to come over here a few times to be an assistant. I just wanted to gauge your interest in being the head coach. And I was like, oh my gosh, as his timing couldn't be any worse. I just started like three months ago here at St. Thomas. I went home and told my wife, and she basically laughed at me like, you're not doing that. You're not leaving.
What about your dad? That's
yeah.
I love your wife, but
right,
I know you love your wife, but what about your dad?
Yes. So I think as it came on, my dad,
that
my
must
wife,
have been really hard.
Yes, and they were all in eventually. Like it's my alma mater. My wife played there. My brother played there. So when do you get a chance to be a college head coach at your alma mater? at the end of the day, at my core, I wanted to coach. So it's like gets me back on that track of things. So I had to take it, and I can't remember what the original question was, but that's kind of where it all led to, since ops. And then from there, again, I thought I'd be there for 30 years. Honestly.
Really?
Yep. Just unless a big time Division I job opened up or something like that. Never had any thoughts of going to the women's side. I have 2 daughters. So of course girls hockey was like becoming more intriguing to me and everything in that regard. Then Brad Frost calls me and asks me,
how did you, you knew him from working at you at ops. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
And asked if I had any interest in, he said he had an opening. I actually might have 2 openings. Any interest in coming over, to be my top assistant? And I was like, well, my short answer is yeah, but I have no idea I've never coached women's hockey in my life. Like I have no idea what that even means. I've coached girls in the off season.
Right.
I actually had a really good group of Division I women that I trained for 4 or 5 years. So I knew I liked that side.
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
That it's great coaching women's hockey.
No, it is. It's incredible. Yeah.
I'm joking. It's the dirty secret. People are like, oh, you really like girls hockey? I'm like, yeah, because they actually listen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they're
they're
really
pleasant.
good, and they're really good. Yeah.
They're really good.
So I was interested, but didn't even know what it meant. So anyway, fast forward a month or so later, and he offered me the job officially, and I took a risk, I guess if you want to call it that, to leave the men's side or move over to the women's side, and and here we are.
I think the way you look at life and evaluate, I thought when you took the job there, I'm like, well, it's just another step for Boom in the right direction. Mm-hmm. That's the way I looked at it. And I didn't really fathom you becoming the head coach at Minnesota immediately. I was like, okay, well, let's just see where this goes, see how he likes it. And all of a sudden you're the U18 World's assistant coach. I'm like, all right, he's digging his heels in here, and he really likes it as much as I like it. And I think this is going to be great for both of us, because I like what you're doing and the way you coach and the way you treat kids and all those other good things. All right, so we talked about influences like your parents, but there's a lot of great coaches that you've played for, worked with. One that kind of stands out to me is Yanni. You and I talked about Yanni. Let's get started there, because here's a guy who you coached for, played for, and then he coached for you at Augsburg as well. And I think he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Works his tail off and gets the most out of very little sometimes. Talk to me a little bit about Yanni Kiriami.
I did not play for him. I coached.
Oh, you didn't?
Nope,
that's
but
right.
I was his assistant. Then he ended up being my assistant.
Barger was your coach. Sorry,
yes,
it was close. It was close though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same school.
Yep.
Yanni, and I tell this people, and this is no offense to people that I've coached with or been around, he to this day is one of the best coaches I've ever been around in my life, regardless of level, regardless of gender, division. He's a really, really good hockey coach.
Give me some descriptors. What makes him good?
Structure, demand, discipline, I guess if you want to call it that, like what he gets out of his players. Like a dumb one, stopping and starting. Like when I was coaching at Burnsville, like our players literally stopped and started. Like it wasn't something we talked about or like, but it's okay if you do a power turn. Like we stopped and started, right? So like just the discipline of what he gets his players to do. Structure with with our systems. Like anyone that came to watch us play knew what we were doing, and he didn't care. Like I hope you know what we're doing. That's actually a compliment to us if you know what we're doing. And if you're going to beat us, then that's our job as coaches to adapt and change how we're playing.
Correct.
And almost, and I mean this in a compliment to him, but almost in a robotic way. We're like, no, I don't want you here. You like grab him by the shoulders, like, no, you need to be here, right? Like there was a total level of detail in what he expected our players, how he expected our players to play. Now with all that said, like he didn't take away from their offense. Right, like we had a lot of high-end offensive players there, like Tyler Sheehy, I coached in high school, ended up being an All-American at Minnesota, multi-time captain, right, big-time point production and stuff. Like he didn't hinder his points, right? Yanni, I'm saying, like didn't hinder his points by playing more of this structured style.
A little bit like, no offense to Mike Randolph, where they had a structure, or Pat O'Leary, for example, those guys have a structure. And not a lot of guys scoring 50 points for Duluth East or Wayzata over the years, right?
Yeah. And Yanni, like I said, I can't say he has really shaped a ton of who I am as a coach. Obviously, I've adapted things and changed things here and there, but it was really fun to be able to get him to be my assistant for those couple years at Augsburg as well, and just the autonomy that I was able to give him with the defensive side of the bench, and he was incredible, obviously, with me there too.
Do you think some of that is where he's from, or do you think that's just who he is as a coach?
I think both. I think a lot of it's probably where he's from. Like every Finn that I've ever coached is also very similar, stoic, structured, disciplined, professional. And that's Yanni as well.
The reason I ask it is because, like, if you were going to chisel out your prototypical Finlander coach, Yanni would be where I would start the mold, right?
Yes, yeah. He's I could talk for a long time about him, but he's actually, in my opinion, a little bit misunderstood because I give him crap about this all the time. He acts like he just moved here from Finland, but he's been here since the 90s. Right?
He's got it down.
Yes, but I feel like he's a bit misunderstood just because of, I don't know, the culture, the language barrier, whatever you want to call it, even though he's been here for 30 years. But yeah, I can't say enough good things about him as a coach.
All right, let's talk about your college coach for 3 years, Mike Schwartz. I mean, this is a legend. I mean, this guy, he's not Ed Saugestad, but he's close.
Yeah.
Right? Talk a little bit about him and his influence on you as a coach. And do you ever think of, as a head coach, he did this, or there was something in him as a head coach where you kind of drew on, whether it be coaching at Blake or at Augsburg or even now at the U?
Yeah, I think, so it was actually fun. Schwartz, who was just down in Florida with us at our coaches convention.
I bet he didn't have any fun.
Yeah, no, I know. So it was fun to have a drink with him and actually Brownie, the three of us, and Marty Sertich and my wife. We sat at a table and chatted one night for a long time, but just shared stories and stuff. But Schwartz is another guy that gave me a chance. Like, this is 2003, which might sound crazy to some listeners, but like even in 2003 to play Division III hockey, like you had to play juniors. I was one of the youngest players on the team for my first 3 years, even into my senior year. And he took a chance on me and took me right out of high school, which was not normal back then, and for sure is not normal right now. And not only did he take a chance on me for like a roster spot, but he played me. Like I had an opportunity to play. And now, of course, like any player, like I had to earn my keeps and everything. And I didn't bounce around from line to line and whatnot. But he believed in me as a player and saw something that he felt like he could develop and help his team. Probably one of the biggest things I learned from a couple things I learned from Schwartz. Even as a Division III coach, he treated Division III hockey like it was college hockey, not like it's Division III hockey. It's something that I always brought when I was coaching at Augsburg. Like, I never told our team, I never mentioned the word D3 to our team. Like, we're college hockey players. And he also, with that, in that light, he was never afraid to go after players that played in the USHL, players Division I transfers. Like, he called the best and was okay hearing no, but at the same time, you hear yes, or the kid maybe says no right away, and then like, man, remember that Mike Schwartz guy who called me when I was in high school or called me when I was in the USHL, and I, basically threw away his letter or just laughed at him when he called me, and not like I actually kind of want to play for that guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess just the confidence, I guess, if you will, to go out and
he definitely
do that.
has that. Yeah.
And then the other thing I would say with him is that he's a very relational person.
Yeah.
He is, like, to this day still, he sends me text messages on my birthday, sends me text messages if we win a big game, sends me text messages if I get a new job. And, and this is, we're talking 20 years ago now, that I was with him.
And he doesn't have to do that. That's
correct.
not in the job description.
Yeah, right,
He doesn't
exactly.
have a job, right?
Yep, exactly.
That's a good take. I like that. Here's doing some research, players you played with at Augsburg. Why do you think there's so many guys that are now coaching from that group? You talked about Critter. We talked a little bit about Critter Johnson coaching with the Frost. I see Steve Beldy at the rink all the time. Brett Way has been coaching forever. Aaron Johnson's over at Buffalo. Just a lot of dudes that were coaches that were in your. Were you guys like hockey nerds sitting around and watch hockey and discuss hockey all the time?
I don't know. We did watch a lot for sure. I think probably every other school probably does too. I don't know if it's a school as much. I think that Division III level actually produces a lot of coaches, and I guess I'll speak for myself. Like, at the end of the day, I was a very average hockey player, right? Like I played Division III hockey, but I was in the landscape of like the elite hockey players, I was an average hockey player. Like You're
very humble. A lot of guys can't make D3.
Sure.
So,
but like D3, like you got to be a worker.
Those guys are lovers. They all love it.
Yeah, you love it.
You don't go play D3 if you don't just eat and drink, and,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And like you're working out every day still. You're at the time we didn't watch a ton of video, I guess, but now you're watching a ton of video, and like you got to all to say your career's probably done in 4 years.
Oh,
pretty good chance, right?
Yeah.
Or you're just hoping like heck that you can get. Can I just play one game on the coast, or can I hang around there for a year or two in the coast? You know, but I think you got to be a worker to play Division III hockey, right? Like so you understand like things aren't given to you. You've probably been cut at one point.
And there's probably a lot of good coaches that come from that atmosphere and that environment, right?
Yeah, I'm biased, but I feel like that for sure. It's just a level that things aren't handed to you. You got to work for it. You got to be told no. You're working on low budgets as coaches. Players are cut. At some point, you were cut. Your dream was probably Division I, so at some point you were cut.
Yeah, all of them in some way, shape, or form were cut. Yeah,
Yep.
that's true. All right, so you get done with school at Augsburg. Walk through the decision, like you said. We kind of started at the end, with all the director of ops and stuff like that. But let's talk a little bit about the beginning of coaching. You said your dream was to be a high school PE teacher and obviously a coach.
Yeah.
How did that get started?
Yep. So Whitey Brad Schwartzbauer was the head coach at Mounds View High School at the time. So this is 2007, 2008. He was actually one of our assistants. He played at Augsburg. He was one of our assistants at Augsburg when I was playing under Schwartz as well. Okay. So got to know him there. He played with my brother at Augsburg. So a lot of connections.
Who were the coaches in the MIAC when you were playing? There's so many legendary coaches.
Yeah, well,
any of them stand out to Harrington obviously.
Was there, Peterson at Gustavus, Skrypek at St. Thomas.
That's where I was going with this. There's a lot of good coaches.
Yeah, Oss at Bethel.
Yep.
I'm
Pete.
Goldie at St. Olaf.
Yep.
Yeah, there were a lot of good coaches. I'm probably missing other ones right now, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that to me just stands out like, oh, there's a lot of good coaches in that league. Yeah. So it was probably a pretty competitive league.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right, so you get done with school, you get the first job.
Yep.
Were you like a substitute teacher or something? How did you get?
So I was student teaching still. So
got it.
In the education world, you get done and then you student teach the next semester. So I was student teaching, and it wasn't convenient. I was living in Woodbury, student teaching in Robbinsdale, in the Robbinsdale School District, coaching hockey at Mounds View. So I was all over the North Metro, essentially.
Some miles.
Yes, exactly. But my hours were great, student teaching. I was done early enough to get to practice. And I was the head JV coach at Mounds View at 22 years old, and I thought I was in the NHL, basically, yeah. And I'll never forget, I actually remember I would help out at practices here and there where I could with the varsity team, and I remember Whitey asking me to if I'd be interested in coming on the bench for sections. And we beat Phil Housley's Stillwater team in the section quarters.
Yeah.
Which was was a 5-4. So it wasn't like a huge upset, but we were the 5 seed. And then we take our team to the Coliseum against Hill. And they ended up winning it that year. And we were down 2-rip before people were in their seats. But it was like, I thought I was playing. I might as well have been coaching against Lemieux at the time,
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right. And now I think your track goes away from the high school ranks into the youth ranks.
Yeah, for 2 years.
What was your occupation? Did you get a teaching job but no high school job offers? Or how does that work?
Yeah, so I was coaching Mounds View.
So you got cut as a coach.
Yeah, kind of. Well, I had to move. Essentially.
Not cut as a coach, but
I had to move. Yeah, I ended up getting a full-time teaching job down in Burnsville, and I wasn't going to do the whole – I don't even know if I could have taught in Burnsville and drive to Mounds View and whatnot. So
correct.
Steve Steege was the Bantam A coach. This was at the time there was no Bantam AA, so Bantam A coach at the time. And
is that Brandon's dad?
Yes, Brandon's dad. Right, and he was looking for a job – or an assistant, sorry. So I was very skeptical. He probably thought I was incredibly arrogant because I was like, well, I don't want to go backwards from JV to Bantam A. And he was kind of like, trust me, like our Bantam A team's pretty damn good. They're probably better than the JV team that you were.
Yes, JV
right,
team.
Exactly. Yeah. So I did it. My brother helped as well. So it was a really fun group.
Dave's 4 years older, right?
He's 4 and a half, 5 years older. Yep. So yeah, it was a super fun group. We went to regionals that year. We finished second in District 6 as a loaded district at that time as well. You're talking about the Edinas, the Jeffersons, the Eden Prairies. Yeah. Apple Valley they won it that year. Apple Valley won District 6 that year, but Minnetonka was in that district. I mean, it's loaded. All the who's who of Bantam hockey players basically in the Metro. And then from there, I was an assistant that year. Then the next year, I got offered the head Bantam A job at Apple Valley. So spent a second year in youth hockey there.
So you got recruited away from Burnsville.
Got recruited away from Burnsville. Yep.
Was Apple Valley a rival of Burnsville?
Yeah,
when you went to Burnsville?
Huge. Yeah.
Did it feel a little weird going over to the coach?
It did, actually. Yeah. Yep. It did.
Yeah, that happened to me too as a coach. I'm like, I'm gonna go coach over here. I don't know if I like it. Wear this jacket, kind of thing.
And Burnsville and Apple Valley hockey was good in that in that time frame. You know, so I remember coaching my first time being on the bench at Burnsville with an Apple Valley jacket on, and it felt weird.
Weird.
Too, so yeah,
that totally weird. All right. Okay. So let's move on. You coached Bantams. I want to hear about this. I think you need to tell the story about winning the District 6 championship. And I jokingly said that might be your greatest coaching job that you've ever had. It's better than the U18 Worlds. If you ask
so
me.
my brother was my assistant that year too.
Oh my gosh.
And we still talk about it to this day.
The band. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love this.
My brother sees Hunter Warner in the hockey circuit now, and Hunter Warner was a first year Bantam on our team.
I cannot wait to make the connection with him. I love Hunter Warner. He's a coach now.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Isn't that great?
He got some advising and stuff.
You got a little coaching tree.
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty soon, Miller Wenkus will be coaching somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
He probably will be.
For sure he will be.
So that Bantam A team, we weren't, we were the 8th seed in District 6. Okay. Now you have to remember that.
Probably like 10 teams, right?
Probably. And you have to remember that District 6 was really good. Yep. Not an excuse, but District 6 was really good. So I actually never felt that we were bad. Like we had a winning record, for example.
Right.
But we just couldn't beat the good teams. And we weren't getting blown out by them. You know, like it maybe be a 5-2 game, but a lot of like 3-2, 4-3, those type games, ties and whatnot. And we had to win 2 games in the play-in basically just to get with the big boys. And we went on a run. We had 3 straight shutouts. So our 2 play-in games, if I remember correctly, it was Chaska was one of them. I know that. I can't remember, but we ended up shutting out Chaska, Jefferson, and maybe Minnesotan. Like, so now we're into the double elimination side of things. And like Jefferson, CJ Smith was on Jefferson. Like they were like, these teams had big time players on them. And we went on a run and had 3 straight shutouts. And it got to the point like where we would score a goal. We just played a 1-2-2. Like we literally like used the top of the circles as landmarks, and we literally just shut things down.
Really?
It was crazy.
Chip it out, right?
Yeah, chip it out. Like just the stuff that people don't love watching, but it wins you hockey games. Our goalie was really good at the time, Jordy Charles, and went on a little run.
That was the question. Could you remember the goalie's name? In this run, that's a true coach right there.
And we ended up beating Minnetonka to qualify for regionals, but we weren't done with the District 6 tournament yet. Beat Burnsville in I don't know what you call it, like the upper bracket championship.
Yep.
And then Burnsville came through the back end, and then we beat Burnsville again.
You went undefeated.
Undefeated. Yeah.
Where was Edina in this? They must have got beat somewhere else.
Yeah, they did. I'm trying to think of who they would have lost to, but yeah, Burnsville maybe. Honestly,
that is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was we like I said, we still talk about it to this day.
And did you get out of regionals?
No, we went 0-3 in regionals.
No way.
Yeah. And the first game was close, and the last 2 we got blown out.
Oh, that's good.
So the run ended.
That's good. But then you and your brother reunited at Farmington, correct?
Yeah, and actually at Burnsville again. So I ended up coaching high school hockey with Yanni at Burnsville for 4 years. Mm-hmm. In my second year there, we added my brother to our staff. I believe it was my second year there. We added him to our staff that year as well. And then then went to Farmington. He was one of my assistants there with Jay Phillips. And then I took Jay with me to Blake.
Right.
From there, and actually Tom Doyle was with me at Farmington as well. So Doyle came with me to Blake as well, and then that's where the college stuff started from there.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's how we finally got back to Blake and whatever, U of M. That's a cool story. All right, let's talk about you getting the job at the U. How did the whole interviewing process go? Because when all the reports came out that Brad had resigned, there were names, or people were throwing names. Obviously, I'm totally drawing a blank on it now. The Ohio State head coach.
Oh, Nadine.
Nadine, sorry. Totally, thank you for helping me there. Her name was immediately thrown out. Former Gopher, successful coach at Ohio State. And then magically, somewhere between the announcement, she signs a an extension of a contract. All right, well that's gone. Yeah. Now we're out there. Now everybody's in play, right? Yeah. And I think I texted you like on that Saturday, and I think there was youth regionals or something was going on, and I'm like, I don't think he's gonna respond, but at least as a professional courtesy, I have to say something like, "Hey, have you interviewed for this? Because I think I have you locked in as the best possible candidate." And how did that process go? The interview and was it a long interview, or because you were already still an employee of the school?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, not every detail. Yeah. Tell me a bit about how that worked.
Yeah. So it's funny you bring up Muzz, because I actually felt the same way when I saw that she signed a contract. I was like, oh, I got a chance now.
Right.
But yeah, the interview process was very typical of any job, I guess I would say. It was a panel interview first, and different because I knew the people that I was interviewing with. But to their credit, like, they drilled down on things, on like being specific. They drilled down on being very intentional that the point of this was not to just have an assistant coach move into the head coach seat. We're trying to hire the best person. Yeah. So, sort of like what I kind of kept going back to in my mind was, okay, instead of taking this for granted because I'm already in Minnesota, what if it was Boston University, right, that I'm interviewing for? Like, how would I be different in this interview than I would be at Minnesota? Because it would have been different. I think I did take for granted a little bit that I was internal already and whatnot, but kind of got through that phase and then ended up talking to the president of the university and Mark Coyle, at length and whatnot, and just kind of shared my vision with him and things that I had seen over these last 3 years versus things that I saw as opportunities for us into the future. As well. So it went quick. It was 8 days long. At the same time, it was a very stressful 8 days. Like, it was bittersweet because
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I'm very close with Brad Frost. It was bittersweet in that sense. And I owe him a lot too for many different reasons. But the support that he has shown me throughout this entire time, throughout the interview process, everything, like I would not have the same frame of mind right now if it wasn't for his support through this whole thing.
Yeah, I figured that. I honestly. That the old staff, new staff, that there would be no, ill will or anything like that. Yeah. I feel like that would be a great transition.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go through the interview process, and maybe you could shed some light on this. There's only a few nerds in this world who care about this answer. Why did it take so long to get the assistant coaches certified?
Yep.
I had a joke with somebody. I mean, obviously a member of your staff, but I felt like we were never going to get assistant coaches. And I'm sorry I made fun of you guys, but the reason we are tweeting about your coaches aren't is because we care.
Yeah,
we really, really care about who the coaches of the land-grant institution in this great state of hockey, right? But was there something strange, or what? Tell me a little bit about that, insight about that.
Yeah, a big part was just to mess with you and just to see how many tweet. No.
Here we go. I knew it was.
Honestly, here's what it was. So Marty Search was my first hire.
Right.
And we talked about kind of rolling out hires. So do I announce him first? And then do I announce my next one 2 days later? And then my next one 2 days later. And then the men's staff, honestly, Larson's staff, announced theirs all together.
Yeah.
And the the support, I guess, for lack of better words, that it gained, or the traction it gained, was so positive. Then I and our sport admin were like, let's just wait and let's just do it all together
at once.
And I guess I don't think I'm disclosing too much information. Winnie was my last hire.
Correct.
And as you can probably imagine, with her it's a career change for her. So
big time.
So for what she needed to do and everything to make this work, it was going to take time, and I knew it was going to take time the whole time.
That makes sense.
Yep. And I knew that I had it. I kind of went from like our first conversation, like, oh, wow, I actually might have a chance with her. I'm kind of just throwing a Hail Mary, but wow, I actually might have a chance with her, to like, geez, I actually think I might get her, to, okay, like, I'm going to get her, but how is this actually going to work? Right. So that was, we can blame it on Winnie. She's the reason why it took so long.
And that wasn't the purpose of the question.
Yeah.
It was like, we're just sitting back. I think one of my tweets was, I'm getting blisters refreshing this page. I'm refreshing this page.
Right.
I'm sick of looking at uniform, because there was this uniforms. That was your last tweet, was, look at our uniforms from last year. I'm like, I'm so tired of uniforms from last year. I want coaches.
Right.
I want coaches. And the Marty one, I wasn't trying to tweet out of turn. players from St. Thomas had contacted us, and Marty's left to the U. I'm like, that's just 2 + 2 tweet there. I wasn't trying to blow your guys' announcement or anything.
No.
If you've given really solid information, it's got to go up, right?
Yeah, we wanted to do it all together.
I know. I didn't mean to blow your guys' cover or anything like that.
No worries.
If it handles that way. All right. So let's dig into it. I promise you some hard questions. And I think the questions are related to your program. And if we don't get your vision out of it, we'll sum it up with the vision. But I think one of the big things from the press conference when you were announced, and I'm not even going to use your voice. It's the AD, Coach Coyle. I don't think I've ever seen this before, but he did it. He was very open, very transparent. He goes, Wisconsin and Ohio State are above us right now, and that's not acceptable. And I know you don't think it's acceptable, and I know the fan base, University of Minnesota fan base, isn't acceptable either. But talk a little bit about how now that you're the boss, you're the new sheriff in town, how will it be different, generally, just globally, how it'll be different? And we'll drill down, a little bit on the coaching style, a little bit on your development style, a little bit on the recruiting style. But just in general, how will we be different as Gophers in 26, 27?
Yeah, I think so a couple things. And I've said this many, many times. Like, this is a reboot. It's not a reload.
Okay.
It's not like, oh my gosh, what has happened to Gopher women's hockey? Like, they're in the gutter. Like, we got to get them out of the gutter.
No.
Something like, we've been very close for many years. And I just feel like I have to say this because this as a hockey guy. People listening to this know this, but like, winning is hard. And like, things have to go right to win.
Look at the 23 Gopher men. I mean, that's
yeah.
It's hard.
Winning is hard.
You have to have certain things fall in place.
Yeah, and to it's one thing to win, and then to win a championship is a whole nother level, right? You got to get refs calls. You got to get pucks to go posting in instead of posting out. You got to get goalie timely saves. Lots of stuff have to happen. Okay, this is not an excuse. It's just a fact.
Yep.
So I say that first because you're not. I know you'll see a change. I hope you'll see a change. I don't think it's going to be like, oh my gosh, like what a difference this is. The biggest thing I think for us is honestly our compete level has to raise. We have to play with more discipline, and I guess I'll use the word professionalism, if you will. Discipline, I guess you could throw in the word accountability in there. Accountability just has a negative connotation. I just prefer the word discipline with that. Structure, we got to play with more structure. Again, we're not going to be robots on the ice, but we're going to have a plan to get pucks back, both in the offensive zone and the defensive zone, and I guess I'll throw the neutral zone in there as well. We are still the Gophers. I said this in the press conference. Like, our speed is not going to, we're not going to all of a sudden recruit players that don't have talent or players that aren't fast. Like, we're still going to have speed and talent, and our depth is still going to be really, really high. We're going to be good in the crease. But I just think the overall structure of how we play might look a little different, in my opinion, hopefully for a positive, of course. Right. But yeah, and then again, with that said, just the discipline and compete. Like, we work hard, but do we really compete? Like, in everything we do, whether that's the first drill in practice on Tuesday morning, or if it's when the puck drops on Friday, and do we compete the same way against an inferior opponent in the country as we do against Wisconsin and Ohio State? And that's where the professionalism comes in, and just the consistency and the even-keeledness. And I'm going on a little bit of a rant or a tangent here, but
I like it.
And that's our job as coaches, to make sure that we're showing our players that, teaching them what that looks like, and then holding them to that level of play all the time.
All right, let's talk about the coaching differences a little. Drill down a little bit more. I think you're a lot like Coach Frost. I feel like you guys have a very similar temperament, same amount of class, understanding the game, experience coaching. How do you think you're different? You'd make a case as how you might be a different head coach than Frost, or maybe you're the same. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think there are a lot of similarities, and I think that's probably why Frost and I are so close as friends, right? And why this has been a little bit bittersweet this last month and everything, right? Just to see him go and for me to step into his seat, but and even to the point of, like, we both are teachers,
right?
So it's an interesting kind of parallel that we have, but I feel like I bring. And this has nothing to do with Frosty, I'm just going to speak for myself. I feel like I bring a unique blend of players coach. So if you have a spectrum, and players coach is on the right side, and the full blown disciplinarian is on the left side, the one that players just have no desire to play for, I feel like I'm pretty smack dab in the middle, maybe a shade towards the players coach. Relationships are important to me. But I do think that there's a balance with relationships as well. Like you can't be their buddies or their friends, right? Like they have to,
Correct.
There needs to be a little bit of like the door's open. They're willing to walk through the door, but it's maybe not always like super comfortable.
Correct.
Right. We're going to have honest and hard conversations, but we can have those conversations because you know that I love you and care about you. And you know that I have your best interest in mind. And I go back to my dad. My dad is a very hard-nosed, like I'm still scared of him to this day, right? Like if I made a mistake, I would not want to answer to my dad right now. And I think I have that blend in me as well. Just again, that kind of more the disciplinarian, I say this as a joke, but I mean it too. Like I'm fascinated by the military. I'm actually infatuated by the military.
Yeah.
But I'm way too big of a wimp to ever be in the military.
Yeah.
But I feel like I coach with that style a little bit more in mind as well, right? That's where the structure and the discipline comes in. Our habits, being okay blowing the whistle and stopping and drilling things down in practice, holding them to those habits and those standards again all the time, no matter where we are in the week, no matter where we are in the season and whatnot. So, for me, I think I just bring a blend of that player's coach and kind of that disciplined driver, that culture driver.
Talk about development. It's a big word these days. With the portal, I think some coaches can kind of cheat development. Yep. Hey, and now with these, I hate to use the term 1-year contracts, but they are 1-year contracts. Even on the women's side, there's 1-year contracts. Where do you stand on that topic? I mean, as far as, hey, we make a promise with you, you're going to be here for 4 years, and we're going to develop you as a player.
Yep.
Because you guys have done a little bit of portal stuff. Some schools do all portal stuff. Yep. Talk a little bit about your development plan from year one. I think it'll look a lot different in 3 years than you are going to be in this first year because you're kind of left with what you had right now. But in 3 years, what do you think it's going to look like?
I think a lot of the development stuff that you're referring to right now begins with recruiting, getting things right.
That's my next question.
Yep, getting things right. Can you always get things right? No, but we are in the business, especially at Minnesota, of getting things right more often than not, right? If we don't get things right, probably don't have jobs for very long. So I think it starts with recruiting. If you get things right recruiting, you probably don't need to dip into the portal nearly as much. Or if you do, it's the one-off, the Sydney Morrow, who's an All-American at Colgate, who becomes an All-American at Minnesota as well. Like, she's just too damn good. Like, we have to get her no matter what, right? So there's still going to be that no matter what. But I think it starts with recruiting. I see so a perfect world, you recruit well, you develop all of your recruits, right? So the player that's there as a freshman continues on until they're a senior. You can literally see them regressively getting better every single step of the way. When you don't get recruiting right, that's when you need to get into the portal a little bit more and get more players to fill spots that you thought you were going to possibly get with X recruit or Y recruit that for whatever reason didn't work out, whether it's us as coach that didn't give them the opportunity, maybe they didn't get the opportunity that they wanted and they want to go somewhere else where they're going to play more. It's just a different world we live in right now with the transfer portal, of course. So to answer your question, I feel like it also, to use the word blend, needs to be a blend as well. Like you look at the NHL right now, and I know we're not the NHL, but Marty Surdich and I were just looking at this the other day of how the teams that are still in the playoff picture, the Stanley Cup run, how their teams were constructed. Were they constructed from draft picks versus
They're all different.
They're all different, but a lot. I personally was actually shocked by the amount of teams that were constructed through trades and free agency
and not draft.
Yes. Now again, we're not the NHL, right?
No.
So I'm not suggesting that we're going to go to that model by any means. I would actually rather go the other model, get the recruiting right, develop these players, have relationships with them and their families, and continue to show them why Minnesota is the best place to play.
I think Wisconsin is on that development. If there is a side of the continuum, they're the ones that are developing the players, and most are staying 4 years.
Yes.
You don't see, Jenny Smith just left Wisconsin.
Yep.
They don't feel like they have a very limited amount. That's ideally where you want to go,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, and I think you're right. And to use Wisconsin to pump their tires for a second, they clearly got their recruiting right?
Yeah.
Like let's just use the Americans, for example. Like they had 5 players that were U.S. Olympians or U.S. World Championship players that all went through this entire phase together. Like that's pretty damn good to hit on every single one of those players.
And they all played on the same U18 World Team, 4 years prior to that. So you knew When I was at the U18 Worlds in Madison that summer, I'm like, holy smokes, the train is coming down the track right now.
Exactly.
That's going to be tough. And not everyone can do that. You know, they hit it, and they're going to have some struggles coming up. It's not going to be as easy as it was for previous years. Which leads me to my next question, is the recruiting part of this. You want to have that part where you have players that stay in the program. That's the ideal situation. When you don't have that with this, I want to get to the 1-year contract thing. How do you decipher that? Because I'm gonna give you both sides of it. You got a kid who's in the program for 1 or 2 years, and they're not happy.
Yep.
Right? You don't want players in your program poisoning the pool, right? Like, you don't want that either, right? Or they're not happy and they're not playing, or they're not developing, versus someone who's really, really happy but not performing. How do you balance that with those kids? Because not every kid comes in a state all-state player. Yep. They're all state in some way, shape, or form. How do you keep 20 kids happy?
Yeah, I think that's a great question.
Right?
It's really, really difficult to do. But I do think the best coaches have the uncanny ability to show the value in every single player, no matter what. I also think, and it's easier said than done, like, you have to play your players, right? So let's just use an easy one, playing 4 lines versus playing 3 lines, right? Like, if you can get into a rhythm where you're playing 4 lines, and again, I'm not naive. I know there's situations, I know there's special teams, all that, but if you don't play 4 lines, no matter what, you have 3 forwards, potentially 1 or 2 D, plus a goalie or 2 every single game. So I don't even know what the number is. That's 7 or 8 players.
Poopy diaper.
Every game.
Every game.
What. So that's 8 out of, again, you just use round numbers, 8 out of 20 that in the locker room are not happy. And as it progresses, continue to get more and more unhappy and upset. They're probably not vocal because they're not happy. So now your bench is quieter, your locker room is quieter, right? And again, I know that this sounds all kumbaya. Yes, exactly. But I do think that there's a lot of merit to that. Like, throw the kid over the boards and see until they show you they literally can't do it. Then keep throwing them over the boards and show value in them. And maybe it's a kid that's on the 3rd or 4th line, but they're on the penalty kill. And when we get a penalty, they look back at you like, this is their Stanley Cup. Like, can I go? Like, this is I'm ready. My time to shine here. Right. So showing value in those players. To your point, the 1-year contract thing, it's interesting now because conversations we have with players are different than I wasn't in college hockey 10 years ago, but I would have to imagine are much different. So the kid that comes to Minnesota that's expecting to play a ton and just doesn't, I think that's where the relationship and the human being side comes in too, of just having the honest conversation with them. Like, hey, look, like, love you. You got a spot on our team. I know you want to play. If you want to play, your best option might be to go into the portal and go somewhere. Like, this just being a person to person,
right.
Being a good human. Right. And then on the flip side, the one who is just happy to be there, that conversation is probably similar, but just, again, letting them know, like, hey, your role is going to be the same. If you're good with it, I'm good with it, because you're a team player. You're great in the locker room and whatnot.
They also have to, like, bench energy, chemistry, all those things. You're not going to play a lot, but if you're a great teammate, we got a spot for you.
Yes, and that matters. It
big time matters.
Yeah. We had a player, I'm not going to name a name. We had a player a couple of years ago that was that player that we ended up losing in the transfer portal, that we did not want. Like, we did not want her to go because she was so good in the locker room.
I bet I can name that
so
player.
Good on the
name
bench.
that player. I bet I can name that player, but I won't do it publicly.
Offline,
if I were to name that player, I know who that player would be.
Yeah.
I already know. Off air, I'll give you that answer. I would too. I'm like, man, she's the great kid.
Yep.
She worked our camps and was like, how did we lose her? Because she's the glue.
Yeah, players want to be around her. And yep.
Exactly. All right, let's talk a little bit about the USA, strength of USA, strength of Canada, strength of the world. Yep. We are finding many, many more. We'll start at the world and we'll go back down to my favorite topic, Minnesota. There are more and more players coming in from around the world playing, especially in the WCHA. What does that look like to you in the next 5 years?
I don't know that answer totally.
How do you guys recruit it?
Yeah. So Worlds is a lot of how we recruit it.
Is that it? Really?
World championships, and then it's advisors, having relationships with advisors that have people out in,
what a world we live
Czechia or in Finland or whatever. Other way that we recruited is that we at Minnesota, we're fortunate that because of who we are, we have a number of Olympians and players that play in world championships and whatnot. So we have relationships with the head coaches and the leaders of their federations, right? So the head coach of Team Sweden that I can jump on a phone call with or a FaceTime with, and we're not only talking about our current player and players that we're recruiting, but also like who's in your U18 pipeline? Are there names that we need to have on our list here? The same thing with Finland and same thing with, Czechia and everything else too. So that's where a lot of our recruiting comes in Europe. Would I love to go over to Europe once a summer and go watch? Yeah, I would. And maybe that'll happen. But a lot of times we first hear about them from their federation's coaches or their management. And then we first see them, whether it's through Instat or in person at Worlds.
All right, this might come off as a really dumb question, so forgive me. But let's use Sweden and Finland as even Czechia has plenty of great players. Yep. What is their dream? Do you know what I mean? Like
players-wise?
Okay, you live in Czechia, you live in Sweden. A 17-year-old girl is like, I want to play American college hockey. Is that everyone's dream?
No, but it's definitely
Isn't that part of the question, right? Like,
totally.
This girl's really good. She had 93 points on this top team in their federation, but she has no interest playing college hockey. Tell me about those yeses and nos.
Yeah, I can think off the top of my head of a few right now that we've contacted that just don't want to. They want to stay there. They want to stay a Swede that wants to just continue playing the SDHL and be the best pro in the SDHL that they can be and just stay home, right? So there's definitely that. There are also the players that want to play NCAA hockey, Division I hockey, that kind of like juniors on the boys' side, that they'll come over here and play for Shattuck or BK Selects or Emma Kreis on our team right now played at Stansted College. So there's players like that their dream is to play college hockey, and they figure the best way to get noticed is to come here earlier. Right. So now we are watching those games. We do see them.
They're basically saying I want to be recruited.
Correct. Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
But now to your point, I think with how much steam the PWHL has right now, like how unbelievable the Olympics just were on both the men's and the women's side, but the women's side specifically, I do think you are seeing, I don't know if majorities, if it's fair to say, but European players that their dream is to play in the PWHL.
I would think so. I mean, it's the highest salaried league. There's going to be a national TV contract. The league is growing. There's more opportunities. I would think that this is definitely a track, and the NCAA, and namely the WCHA, is the place to be.
Yep, correct. No, you're exactly right.
So that's a fun part of your job. Like, talk about you're on the forefront of women's hockey. It's right here in the WCHA. All right, let's talk about Canada.
Okay.
I feel like the Gophers now are adding 2 to 3 Canadians in not every recruiting class, but it feels like there's a handful in the program. What is different about the Canadian hockey player now versus what it used to be when the Gophers used to be 16, we'll just say 75+% Minnesotans. Now it seems to be 50 and below.
Yep.
What's that look like? What does the Canadian player bring to the Gophers versus your standard American or especially Minnesota?
Yeah, so I guess I'll back up and say I think just the landscape has changed. So like you look at the Gopher men, right? So in the Doug Woog era, it was all Minnesotans.
Pride and Ice.
Yep, Pride and Ice. Now all of a sudden you start to creep in the one non-Minnesotan, the second non-Minnesotan. Now if you look at their roster, it's a little bit of just keeping up with the times as far as, and I know you said, I know what your answer is going to be, but like we need to get the best players regardless where they're.
No zip code.
Yeah, right. No zip code.
But there's a catch to it though.
There is. To answer your question about with the Canadians versus the Minnesotans specifically or the Americans, the OWHA, so the Ontario Women's Hockey Association, I believe, is a fantastic league.
Etobicoke.
Yeah, Etobicoke. Yeah, very competitive. They call themselves like junior hockey. So it's U22.
Yep.
Technically, even though they're all pretty much high school age kids, you see players going from place to place. Again, somewhat like junior hockey, it's not trades and whatnot, but you're able to kind of form super teams and whatnot. So a lot of it is just cyclical, right? Like Wisconsin had this run of these, let's just call it 5. I know there's more, but these 5 unbelievable Americans. we weren't getting them. Okay, so now who are we going to get that can compete with them? So now let's go up into Canada and see if we can get a footprint up there. Now all of a sudden you land one Canadian, and now their teammates or their teammates is like, well, I want to go there. I want to go to Minnesota. I didn't even know Minnesota was an option for us before. So a lot of it is cyclical. And here's the other thing too, with social media, and I mean this, and I wish it wasn't that way, but like the Minnesota kid, everyone just assumes that every Minnesota kid grows up wanting to be a Gopher. And I still think the majority do. But with social media, like you now see Wisconsin's Instagram page and all the cool stuff they do. You see Ohio State's Instagram page, all the cool stuff they do. Boston College Instagram page, BU, like whatever, name your team. There's just so much more, you have so much more access to those teams, where 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when women's hockey, Gopher women's hockey was getting off the ground and they were the standard of play in college hockey, there wasn't that. Like the Minnesota kid didn't have any access to these other school. Right, so their knowledge of college hockey was being in Ritter Arena with Goldie painted on their cheek and a Gopher jersey on and wanting to be out there. And again, I still think that that's the majority of the Minnesota hockey player. But I think it's a misconception that like every one of those players is just dreaming to be Gophers, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Within the girls hockey programming that I do, I'll give you an example. I do a camp in Boston. You and I talked about it last year.
Yep.
It was during our camp with you guys. It happened simultaneously. And it's really weird. Like, let's just say out of every 20 girls we would invite to come out to Boston, and it's Harvard, it's Merrimack, it's Colgate, Cornell, real good, solid college hockey programs out there. And you'd be amazed how few from Minnesota want to even explore the East Coast.
Sure.
And then there's some where it's like, no offense, they go to Blake, and it's like, all right, I want to go to Harvard. Like, I'm going to have my classmates at Blake. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where there's some that want that.
Yep.
And it speaks to your point. It's like not everybody wants the Gophers, and not everybody wants East Coast either. No. I got a kid here in Minnesota that I think is one of the best defensemen in the state, and she only wants to play for a Minnesota team. I'm like, if you just went to this stupid camp of mine, there's going to be 15 schools they'll be offering a scholarship, but she just doesn't want to leave.
Yep.
And I can't make her leave, that's, but I'm just saying there's a lot of really talented kids here who are just not, she never made D1. I'm like, that's not true. She just didn't want to play outside of the borders.
Yeah. No, I think
which goes back to our point of like where people come and they go, right?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of truth to that too. And I guess I'll back up also and say I do think a big part of our job as University of Minnesota coaches is to get the state of Minnesota and the young kids growing up dying to be Gophers again. Yeah. Whether that means whether that means us being out in rinks more, our players being out in rinks more, us having more camps, whatever it may be. I'm just spitballing ideas right now, right?
No.
But just to getting in front of these kids where like now you do see Gopher hats and sweatshirts and jerseys and everything again.
I still think the brand is as strong as it's ever been. I went to a game this year and I was like just absolutely blown away. Like, oh my gosh, what a fan base you guys have. And this was not a Wisconsin-Ohio State game.
Yeah.
I was like, they sell this many tickets for this?
And our fan base is cool because it's majority young girls.
Yes.
Young hockey teams.
Yeah. I'm in the minority.
Yep. And their parents and their coaches. Our tunnel, when our players walk out to the ice, is filled with little girls with their jerseys on, giving fist bumps, and it's different. There's one other school in the country that rivals our crowd as far as numbers go, but the fan bases are drastically different.
I agree with that. All right, so let's talk about the Minnesota player itself. I did some research. I've done a lot of research on Minnesota performance. If you took Grace Sumwinkle and Taylor Heisey out of the mix, take those two players out because they were taking up a lot of goals and assists. The number of Minnesota players that are top 20 goal scorers in the last 10 years. Do you realize the point scorers? Do you know that number is like less than 10? No. You took Grace and Taylor out of that mix. What do we need to do in Minnesota to have we make up 20% of hockey players in the country, maybe 22% of the. What do we need to do as Minnesota players to get better, to make you specifically you and Winnie and Marty and Jess say, hey, we want you here at the school.
Yeah.
You are going to be the next Taylor Heisey. What are we doing here that might not get us to be in the top 20? I think Ava was close this year. Like, there's a few, but there's not many. What is still plenty of players.
Yep.
But not many top-end goal scorers.
I know, and I was going to say that. We do a really good job of producing a mass amount of players, both on the boys and the girls side, that go on. And they're leaders. They're captains of their universities. They
go on to coach, too, by the way. Tons of them.
Yeah, we do a really good job of mass producing numbers. I'm actually stuck. I'm stuck a little bit because I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. For that, I do think that that's cyclical. Still, I do believe that. I do believe that every class has their one or two that can be that player still. My answer. I'll tell you one of my answers.
I got an answer too.
Yeah,
it's a really bad answer too.
Mine's really bad.
It's gonna be really unpopular.
Mine's really bad.
You're gonna be less popular. Let's see who can be the least popular answer.
Mine's gonna be
today.
bad and unpopular too.
Okay, let's hear it.
I feel like, again, we do such a good job of mass producing players and like team players.
Yes.
Right. Like, being the ultimate team player, I guess I'll just call it that. Right. Which probably goes to structure too, like probably too much structure at a young age, too much structure in youth hockey, maybe even too much structure in high school hockey. Where like we're losing those players that are just pure, like, I'll just use the term puck hogs. And I'm not suggesting. And I'm not suggesting the kid.
We're on the same page, believe it or not.
I'm not suggesting the kid.
Like, if you open the book up, you'd be over on this page, and I'd be over on this page. We're really close. Keep going.
Yes. So, listeners, I'm not telling you don't pass the puck, but players that just like are dying to have the puck on their stick. So, like, where you're calling for the puck, even if you're not open, like you're just a puck hog, and you love scoring goals, and I don't. This is a total blanket statement. And again, forgive me. I told you my answer is going to be bad. I don't, I feel like our coaches spend so much time on like playing the game the right way and, making other players better. And those are all, don't get me wrong, those are incredibly invaluable when they get to my level. But are we missing something with just the elite hockey player? I didn't watch this guy play, but like you look at like an Austin Matthew or a Matthew Nyes who are in Scottsdale, Arizona, who obviously are not playing with probably 15 other studs on their team. They have the puck on their stick all the time, scoring a pile of goals, and they just learn how to score. They learn how to keep the puck. They learn how to take over games. And with us right now, again, it's a little bit more of the team game, which is super beneficial. Don't get me wrong, but. Yeah.
Here we go. Here's mine. It's very similar to yours. I ran into a player. She plays in your conference. She's played U18 Worlds. She'll probably be all conference this year. She'll be all conference this year. She was in town. Her little sister, she's from Chicago area. Her little sister was playing in the Sportacular. And I noticed her jacket. I was like, oh, man, what are you doing here? And so I went up and talked to her, and she's like, well, I'm here to watch my little sister. And we got to talking about her training. And she played Chicago Mission. And I said, well, I'd like to hear about yours. But before I could even really get into it, she talked about how lucky kids in Minnesota are. She saw this Sportacular tournament. She's like, this is amazing. It's like this every weekend here in Minnesota. You got all these great teams and all these, there's so many teams that are so good is what she was kind of pointing to. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of puffing my chest out a little bit, and I'm pretty proud of what we have here, and going on and on and on. I'm like, well, let me hear about your experience with the Chicago Mission. She goes, well, we really don't do Chicago Mission except on the weekends because it's so much traffic to get to practice. So we kind of have an agreement. We do privates. We do privates at a local rink here and do most of our stuff shooting and stick handling with my sisters. I'm like, well, tell me more about that. She goes, yeah, well, we all have a goal of 36.5, and she starts going at 36.5, 36.5, 36.5. I'm like, what is 36.5? She goes, well, we shoot 36,500 pucks, 100 pucks a day for 365 days a year. I'm like, wait, you just said about 3 minutes ago we were lucky here. You're actually the lucky one. You're the one that's shooting 36,000 more pucks than most of these kids here. You know why the kids don't shoot pucks here? They got hockey every day.
Every day. Yeah.
They go to 1 hour, and you and I are good coaches, right? We know what we're doing. But after 71 straight 1 hour practices, we suck as coaches because how many more times can they hear us to run this drill? And we can do great drills. We can do great development, lots of them, tons of great men's and women's former pros, former players, coaching and practices. But there's a certain point, I think my problem is that we have a point of no return of just too much hockey of 1 hour practices. And then we go to 6 tournaments, 12 tournaments. I feel like we've gotten into kind of a cookie cutter, which then does produce some really above average players. Yep. But it goes back to your side of the page, which says we don't have enough of this player who just has shot. And she showed me on her phone. I go, well, prove it to me. Do you have like a chalkboard? She goes, I have it on my phone. And she had 8 tabs of 8 different years of shooting between 30 and 50,000 pucks a year. That's how you get good. Yeah. And I think we have too many lollipops in the candy store where they just kind of just get sick of hockey and they can't. And the other is, and this is the most unpopular, is I think the state high school hockey tournament, as awesome as it is, that's a ceiling for a lot of kids in Minnesota. So once they've made it to All-State, they've been a Miss Hockey finalist, they've gotten their Division I commit, and they hit a ceiling. And that ceiling is pretty damn cool ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
But the real ceiling is winning a gold medal. The real ceiling is winning a national championship. And you need players that don't think the state high school hockey tournament is the ceiling.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Fair?
Yeah, fair. Totally fair, yeah. I had another thought on that. Now I lost my...
Sorry, I got you going there.
No, that's okay.
And I'm not ripping our model. I have a podcast dedicated to it, and I think it's awesome.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. The OWHA in Ontario, what I was referring to earlier, they also are on the ice 2 days a week. So now some of these kids, the kids aren't only on the ice 2 days a week because they're doing other things and stuff, but maybe more individually skill-based stuff, shooting, whatever it might be.
This is my point. And I love when Rogers Girls 10As is out practicing 3-4 nights a week. That's good stuff. I'm not ripping on it.
Oh, yeah.
How many hours do we really need? Yeah. And are we taking away from opportunities to just getting on the pond and playing? I'm not ripping on all the ice time that we have here because it is good.
Yes.
But I think there's kind of a point of no return where wouldn't it be better if they were just sitting in Jackie's garage shooting 1,000 pucks?
No, I know. And we're speaking from both sides of our mouth a little bit because the amount of people that are produced in Minnesota
is amazing.
It's amazing. Second to none.
Yeah. And it is working.
Yes.
But if you look at the stats that I uncovered last year, I was like blown away. Caitlin Roberts was the only Minnesotan 2 years ago to be a top scorer. Yeah. Out of top 20 scorer in the country. So I follow this. I'm like, why don't we have more of those? What can we do to make it better? I don't know I don't have the exact answer, but I'm building some theories here. So sorry, we went way off on a boom May tangent here, but it's important. I think what you've said there was really important for our listeners because if you look at the number of Minnesota players playing for the Gophers, it's not like Brad Frost hated Minnesota players. He won most of his national championships with that 85% number, right?
Yep,
so
correct.
I'm going to give you one more chance to talk about, the recruiting, the type of player that you're looking to recruit because it's really important to know. And obviously zip code doesn't really come into the equation.
No, it doesn't. And to your point with all of this stuff we just got done talking about, at the end of the day, we want Minnesotans.
Yeah.
We do. Like I would love to have a full team of Minnesotans. At the same time, like my charge is to win and win national championships. So if there's a kid in Canada, there's a kid in Sweden, there's a kid in Hungary, wherever they are, and they're going to help our team, that's our job to identify that player and then also to bring them over here too. But I think having a Minnesota flavor is huge from a fan base standpoint. It's you and I talked offline, but it's a little bit of like the boys in the 80s and 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s where the fans are reading the newspaper and they hear about these kids playing high school hockey and they watch them in the state tournament. And then the next year they see them with the Gopher jersey on.
Ava Lindsay, Layla Hemp. I
Yep.
mean, you can start going one after another. It's awesome to see that.
It's awesome. And we need more of that. We do. We need more of that. And it might be one of those things where if it's not a no-brainer outside of Minnesota, let's take the Minnesota kid because it's not that big of a difference. And to our point earlier, like, These kids and their families were the ones that were in Ritter Arena at one point. That there's just another sense of pride for the M when you've watched it since you were 7, 8 years old and all the way through high school. From what type of player we're going to look for, it's need based, right? Like no matter what, like we need players that can skate. Like you watch, let's just use the same two schools of Wisconsin and Ohio State.
Right.
Like you got to be able to skate with them, no matter up and down the lineup, right? So you got to be able to skate, and that means your edges, your agility, but also your pace, your speed, as well. Hockey IQ is a big one. And when I think of IQ, I think of like you're faced with a decision. In general, are you making the quote unquote right decision both with and without the puck? Are you supporting the puck carrier in the correct way?
Right.
Are you a layer defensively? Are you supporting your defensive structure the correct way? Are you anticipating the next play? Are you using your teammates? Are you creating 2-on-1s with against your opponents, using your teammates to get pucks back and so on? And then the third one we talked about before, but just that player that just comes in already as a dog that just competes. And they not only have first effort, but they
Finale
got,
would
yes,
be one of them,
yeah,
right?
totally.
Right away.
Yep, you got second effort, you got third effort. You take the puck from me, and guess what? I'm still right on you. You know what? Like, I'm not going away. And can that be taught? Yes, but I do think that you have that, right? You have that in you.
How many days until you guys play your first game? Do you know?
I don't know that actually. I'm so stuck on. I'm borderline hour to hour, not even day to day right now.
How has that been? That was the last question I had. What's life look like as a head coach versus an assistant coach, ops guy?
Yeah.
I mean, you've had a lot of those secondary roles at the college level. What's it feel like now to be? I'm sure you're more of a CEO than you are a hockey coach in some ways.
Yep. Yeah, and right now it's easy to be a CEO because we don't have players that we're on the ice with right this second, of course. So the day after I got hired, the transfer portal opened. So
great timing.
Right, exactly. Great timing there. And at the same time, it was great timing because they at least have a head coach there, so I could talk to people on day one. I found out very quickly that many of the people I was talking to wanted to know who our assistants were. So now it's like, okay, I got to get on that immediately as well. Of course, we're the Gophers. Like our players deserve the best staff. And I feel like we did that in every single.
I think you did an awesome job
in every single position.
A little bit of new, a little bit old. Works out perfect.
And everything. And just truly having the best at every position. We talk about skill development. We have two people three, I guess, in Marty Surdich when he broke Brown and Amanda Levier, who like their lives is skill
have
development.
Always been about that. Yes,
on the ice, like they're rink rats are on the ice all the time. Just a quick little side convo here, but Winnie just got back from France. She's in France for almost 3 weeks with her niece and then her boys as well, her family. She came back and we talked the day that she got back. I think she slept till like 5:30 a.m. and she was on her way to a rink.
Yeah,
it's like you're a machine. Like what are you doing? You can take a day off. You don't need to go to the rink again today. And she's not going to the rink to like watch. She's going to be on the ice with players, getting them better and whatnot, right? So hiring a coaching staff, and then it was kind of fun. So for a few weeks we were in spring training there. So we're an 8-hour segment. How we break up our 8-hour segment is 6 hours off ice, 2 hours on ice. So Marty and myself were able to run skill sessions for our players who were in town here, returners. We had some alum that just graduated that stayed out as well. So that was a lot of fun. And then Lev came out the last couple sessions as well after she was officially hired and started. And then from there, it's been a lot of just, I don't even want to say administrative work, but just ways that we can be creative to keep moving this thing forward, whether it be fundraising, donor relationships. What does NIL even look like? Educating ourselves on NIL. Okay, now we're somewhat educated on it. Now what's next? Like
and that was probably never part of your job description as an assistant.
Not much. And to everyone's defense on the previous staff, the last few years that I was there as an assistant, it's so new. Every week with NIL, it's like, oh, we can't do this. Now we can do this. And, so there's just different stuff every week, every month that you can do. But we're a blue blood college hockey program. We don't need to be chasing what other people are doing. Like, let's be the people that they're chasing. Let's be the forefront. Like, oh my gosh, how did Minnesota do that? Well, here's how they did it. Instead of us asking, how did they do that? And then us trying to follow suit. So that's been a lot of the stuff right now. June 15th is coming up really quickly for us. And
this should be the 2026
Eight
class. I know it's even number, sorry.
Yep,
2028 class.
So trying to hone in our list, which has also been really fun because, we kind of had our list with our previous staff, but now we bring in outside people who have a whole different perspective on people.
Yeah,
so
especially with Winnie and Marty, right?
Yep.
Marty was in the trenches, probably looking for that next layer down player. And now he's looking, okay, we're going next layer up.
Yep.
Where Winnie's like, okay, I have every layer covered.
And obviously a ton of experience, especially with the homegrown ones here in Minnesota, which is massive, a huge reason why I wanted her to join us. So trying to, I guess, mesh those lists together and then hone in on like, okay, here's our list somewhat, like we can still move things around here and there. Now, who are we actually going to call on June 15th, right? Like what does that look like? So there's probably so much more that I can't even think of. But the fun part too is like and trust me, I hope I'm in this job for the rest of my career in this exact spot, same school, everything. But when you switch jobs, like you do get you get a jump, you get a little kickstart, right? Like you get some more energy, and all of a sudden you're up early in the morning and you're ready to go for the day. Like you want to be in the office, your staff wants to be there. Like there's just a hunger and excitement to what you're doing. Like sharing your vision with each other, and it's been a lot of fun.
Maybe you'll be like Critter's dad someday.
That would be incredible. Yeah, if you could tell me that I'm going to do that, then that would be incredible.
I mean, he's getting up now, still to this day.
Yeah.
And how much does that guy accomplish both on the ice and off the ice as a coach? It's be pretty good. That's a pretty good bar to set yourself to.
One just compliment to him too that I just feel like I need to say is that he is such a good, humble person. Like one of the first things he asks me every time he sees me is, "How's your wife? How's your kids?" Knows them by name. Like he's top notch.
Yeah, well, it didn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
Critters, his son and I become good buddies, and we were chatting one day about my wife. She had a little surgery in February. 12 days later, out of the blue, hey, how's your wife doing?
Yeah.
Like, kind of like Schwartzy.
Yeah.
Didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
He just
people.
like those are good people.
Yep. And they make good coaches usually. So.
Yeah, and that's a good competitor too.
Yep.
I like when you got a good, healthy competition, and I think you're going to do great. Boom.
This
was a blast.
Yes, thanks
We've
so
done
much.
these interviews before without the recorder on.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've done it with it on. It was a good time.
Yeah, no, yeah. Thanks for having me in.
Greg May, University of Minnesota women's coach.